So welcome everybody to Autona Media Group's briefing on what we're doing at NAB this year. Both myself and James Gibson will be heading out, and we'll be there for the duration on a number of stands actually this year. So we'll go into that in a little bit more detail a little bit later on. But firstly, what I'd like to do is actually just quickly hand over to Matt Hall, who's our new sales director, and have him to say a few words and say hello to everybody.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, my name's Matt Hall. Started with Autona recently. Come from Australia in the broadcast industry. Spent some time in London. I'm now in sunny Austria, which is quite fun, and looking forward to meeting you all over the course of my time with Autona. Back to you, Simon.
Cheers, Matt. Thank you, and welcome aboard again. So this year, as I said before, myself and James will be there attending at the show, and we'll be present on both the UK Pavilion in the West Hall and the North Hall, as well as on the AI Innovation Pavilion in the West Hall as well. So it's easy to get hold of us. We'll share this deck as soon as we've finished the recording. You'll have our phone numbers and email addresses there. So if you do want to reach out, please feel free to do so. So just as a quick recap, as you know, Cubix is a family of solutions where we have Unify as our flagship kind of core asset management and orchestration automation platform, really aimed at the large broadcaster, larger businesses and large projects. We also have Halo, which is our own hosted deployment of Unify, where we have a multi-tenanted setup for clients to use both asset management but also workflow and orchestration on a subscription basis. We have our appliances, which are use case based software appliances. So these are focused on things like Avid Editor Ingest, bulk tape ingest, and other areas as well. But more specifically is Connect. So Connect is taking our orchestration and our integration layers and actually allowing you to pull together point technologies and orchestrate media metadata between the two, where you couldn't have done before. So on that, I'd like to hand over to James Gibson, CTO and founder of Autona, as you know, to go over Connect and explain how it works and how we do this.
Thank you, Simon. And yes, welcome Matt to the team. Very excited to have you on board. So those of you who know Cubix will know that it's a very powerful and enterprise engine. As Simon's mentioned, we do a lot. And one of the challenges that we sort of found recently is actually that it almost seems, if you will, too complicated or too much for my requirement, which is always a real frustrating, because the goal with Cubix was to make it really not only cost effective, but modular in pricing. And again, flexibility with technology, we wanted the flexibility with the commercials. So how do we get down to the client who is maybe not sure or just starting, or we want to do something which is very quick and simple to implement? And so this is really where we've gone with Connect. Now, Connect takes two forms. We have the kind of OEM, and you'll see things like, for example, as Polar Arc and others that you'll see coming online and announced, where Connect is being used as part of their solution. So you're seeing Cubix now being put into SKUs for other vendors. What we're really focusing on today is connecting critically our Connect widget. Now, Simon says this deck will come with a video, so do sort of have a bit of a read through. But when we talk about connections, really what we're meaning by that is the harness concept that we've had now since Cubix's inception. So those of you will know we have over 165 API integrations and counting. We have some very key ones that we're announcing for the show as well. But basically, when we talk about a connection in Connect, it is quite simply that harness deployment. Now, as you can see here, we've got AudioShake, DeepMark, EMAM, Facilis, High-Scale, Lumens, Pixel Strings, Quasar, Snicket, and UpCloud are all new vendors that we're adding in. And I'm very pleased to say we've also added in support for both NDI and SRT capture. Playback is something we're still looking at, but for certainly NDI and SRT now we're able to capture using this system. And these are all demonstrations that you'll be able to see for those of you who are going out to NAB. We'll come back to that in a second. But this is really just the kind of recent integrations that we've done. And we're going to keep adding, as you know, this is a constant long-term policy of ours to add more and more connections in as we go forward. And this is the nice thing about Cubics, is that we're truly hybrid. With this idea of connections, harnesses can be deployed in our cloud environment. So for example, if I'm working with AudioShake or DeepMark or these systems which are cloud only, there is no need for the client to deploy anything locally or within their environment to connect to that. However, if we are working with, say, an on-prem EMAM or some on-prem storage or that kind of thing, then of course we do have that ability to deploy harnesses. But as you'll see shortly when we do a demo of this, how painfully simple it is to do those deployments. And that's really the thrust of what we're trying to get to here with Connect, is that we have removed the barrier for POCs, we've removed the barrier for clients onboardings to the absolute extent of you don't even need to pick up the phone and speak to Autona to onboard a new client. And we'll take you through that in a second. So the key things we have here are the idea of connections. Connections, as we mentioned, is just our harness concept, basically plugging into the technology, prem or cloud. We then have the idea of templates, and templates are effectively pre-built workflows. Bearing in mind, this is not designed to replace any of TaskFlow or TaskFlow Designer or any of the features that we've done so far. This is really more that onboarding ramp, simple start, not having to go into the enterprise from day one. So basically the idea of a pre-built workflow that they can then just choose and go. Clients who still want to build their own custom workflows, head off into TaskFlow Designer, not a problem. And the concept with the templates is to have this idea of anything in, anything out. So we're not limiting the technology. So for example, I could take a storage volume and plug it into Xero. Why would I do that? Well, I can now start printing metrics on doing that. But critically, I could have any form of MAM as a source or storage for a migration. I could be indexing or going MAM to MAM, or as you see, it's kind of a true pick and mix. So do go through the deck at your leisure. It does explain a bit of that in a bit more detail. But there are lots of different types of integrations that we can do. And critically, the kind of initial templates we're looking at are things like data replication, content import, content migration, indexing, invoice generation. So they're the kind of initial templates that you'll be seeing at NAB. But of course, this will be a library of templates that we'll add to continually. And basically, you license through template. You license a template, you inherit those connections that you have access to, and that keeps it also nice and simple as well from a commercial perspective. So to show just how easy this is, and I love doing this as a CTO and an engineer of history, I'm actually going to ask a sales director to demo software. It's genuinely that easy. So Matt, if you don't mind, do you mind just showing us how we go about using the Connect widget?
Yeah, it's actually really easy. I mean, I know James has been doing all the demos so far, and I hopefully will be able to do this very quickly. So when we jump in here, what you saw before was the Connect widget interface. When you log in, there's no connections, but when you look at the Add Connection page, or when you click that button, you can have a look at all the connections that are available. And I'm rolling through here very quickly to see what is here, and to show you how quickly it is to add, how quick it is rather to add a connection. I'll use FrySpace as the example. And if I spell it correctly, FrySpace demo, add a key. And when we hit this test button, it is going off and it is actually doing a proof of life test out to FrySpace. And you can see here that it is a success. We close. And then when we come back here, we can now see our connection. So with those connections, because we've purchased templates, we'll be able to have access to all of the connections that make sense to us. Here in the templates area, you can see all the different templates that you would have available, or the customer would have available. So at the moment, we've got invoice generation, data replication, and content import. And then when we go into my workflows, at the moment, there's no workflows created, but we would click the create new workflow button, have a look at the templates that are available. So if I use data replication, for example, and I'm going to say copy to on-prem, let's just say that. And what this is, it's just a dummy workflow for us at the moment. And then what we want to do is be able to choose a source connection. So we're going to say that's our example source. We can choose which folders that we want to be able to select from. And then where we want to put it. So we can say that's one destination. We can even have it going to two destinations if we'd like to. Hit next, you get the review your workflow, whether you want to trigger it on save or schedule it for a later date. And then once you hit save, you'll be able to see it in this page.
So Matt, I wasn't quite timing that, but I think literally from cold day, you made a connection to Frospace. Obviously, you'd make other connections as needed. You chose a template and you configured it. And we're talking sort of, I mean, certainly sub 5 minutes of the whole thing, right? But I mean, we're talking seconds of connection. Would you agree with that, Simon and Matt? Is that fair to say?
No, 100%. I think the slide deck you guys are going to get after this, with the recording, I actually put in there a 5-minute demo, but actually it was a lot quicker than that. So I'm going to have to change the text on that slide. It was that quick. So yeah.
Yeah, we love being able to, great problem to have. I mean, I was talking through some of that, but ultimately, if you've got all your credentials ready, it is seconds. And you saw how quick it was there. If you've got your credentials ready, make your connection, proof of life, and off you go.
Yeah, no, it's quite amazing how simple it is to set up, a connection between, a lump of storage, be that on-prem or in the cloud, and actually migrate using a migration template into something like Iconic, which is quite incredible, or even a legacy asset management system into a more modern asset management system. So yeah, no, it's quite amazing.
And I think that's a really key point there, Simon, is that what we've done here is we're not just talking about plugging in some S3 storage to, some on-prem disk or anything like that. We're talking about Diva. We're talking about CatDV, legacy MAMs. These are really difficult historically integrations to do. That because of our anything out approach, a non-technical stakeholder can do what Matt's just demonstrated. And once it's set up, Matt, I think you can see the workflow on the dashboard as an example.
Yeah, you can. So this is the workflow that, or an example workflow that can be created. You'll be able to jump through and have a look at the recent jobs and the summary of the entire workflow itself. This interface you see here will evolve over time. This is a constantly evolving product for us, but we're super excited for what's coming up. Since joining Autona, this is the thing that I've been looking forward to the most. So yeah, really looking forward to this.
And I think that's a really key thing there, Matt. As you say, this is a new interface. Now, we haven't rebuilt anything under the hood. What's happening here is that when Matt used that interface to build that workflow, if he was to then go into TaskFlow, he would still find that workflow designed as if it had been done through TaskFlow Designer. So connections are harnesses, the exact same technology we've had since our inception. The workflows and templates are just TaskFlow again since our inception. So the nice thing here is the clients can start simple, but as they scale, they can still then move directly into the enterprise system. And we're really keen to show this with so many of our partners at NAB because we're going to have lots of eyes on this and we welcome feedback. So please have a play with this and let clients have a go. It's so easy to set up trials, and critically, you can set up yourself. So Simon, do you want to explain a bit more about how our resellers and partners can actually set up their own clients using this?
No, absolutely. So following on from NAB, simply just get in touch. We'll set you through just a very short training session. As you see, there's not a lot to train you on, but we can give you some example kind of setups and stuff to give that kind of knowledge base. But you can then deploy your own connections as a Connect trial for clients for 30 days, working with your client's own environment and their own media or metadata. So it gives them truly a first-hand kind of experience. We can also have this, show you how to effectively set up a user live with the client as well. And there'll be an installer for a Node Manager, which is the software that sits on the machine and it deploys the correct harness for the connection that they're trying to make. So as part of that process in the background, literally you run an installer, you get an installer code, and that is it. And you can just start setting connections up for customers and for yourselves to do demos, to clients or to on presentations and the like. So thank you for that, guys. So just to wrap up very quickly, so where can you find us at NAB? So if you are attending, as I said before, in the North Hall and the West Hall, we've got access to the UK pavilions. We'd be more in the West Hall. We have a meeting room there we can use, and we have an occasional use, I think, of the North Hall meeting room as well. So that's the UK Pavilion W2019. Across the aisle, we also have a pitch with one of our technical partners on the AI Innovation Pavilion. In addition, on 8 partner booths this year, we'll be having them show Connect with their technology. So we've got people like Amplify, AudioShake, Facilis Technology, they'll be showing a new widget that we built for them, so you can remote manage Facilis servers. So you don't even need to be next to the machine. You can actually log in from any web browser and set up your users and groups and authorized access and all that kind of stuff. EMAM have an integration with us as well, so they can actually push a task to Connect, and we will run a workflow and pass the results back to EMAM, or it might be a distribution workflow. So they've actually done an integration into us as well as us into them, of course, so we can migrate legacy MAMs into them. High-Scale, so their transcode platform and stuff is also integrated with Connect as well, and I believe they'll also be showing a connection directly into Qubits Connect, an integration into us. Metamartis, our partner in a AI innovation pavilion. Snicket Labs, so they do a lot of fingerprinting and stuff of video. So again, having Connect pick up media and assets from an S3 bucket, for example, and actually show you at the show live how they can actually fingerprint that media to show you, duplicates and all this kind of stuff. And then lastly, not least, is Zendata. They have a web widget that we've built for them. So again, very like Facilis, you can manage their libraries remotely, multiple libraries remotely. So organizations that, you don't want to go into the office and literally connect physically with the server or even RDP in. You've got a very simple web interface where you can set up file groups and all this kind of stuff, just as you can in the Zendata interface, but from the comfort of your own office or your own home, or even if you're on the road. So so a lot happening. Now, a real key thing for us again this year is we will have the iconic ingest appliance. So this again is based around Connect and what we're doing with Connect. But this is an appliance that allows us to effectively do away with the ISG, the Iconic Storage Gateway, and allow unlimited streams really down to the bandwidth that the client has of moving media and data into Iconic. So if you're looking to migrate en masse a client's assets into Iconic, come and see us on the Backlight booth on Sunday, the 19th of April. We have a 2-hour slot with them on their stand in the North Hall. So again, we're going to be very busy. A lot of partners showing our product, and that's NAB 2026. Unless anyone else has got anything else to say, that's it from me.
Yep. Well, thank you very much, Simon. And Matt, and say thank you all for your time for watching this. As ever, do get in touch. The best way to learn about Qubix is Can It Do This? As you see, we have Simon as our dedicated both technical and partner manager for yourself. And great to have now Matt on board. I mean, last words, Matt, do you have anything else to add to this with your new and fresh eyes to all of our technology?
I am pretty excited for what Qubix Connect can do. I can already see what Unify does as for the asset management side of things, but I'm very, very excited to see Qubix Connect, and particularly the Qubix Connect widget, and making it super easy. So come and see us at NAB. It'll be a good time.
Nice stuff. Thank you very much, everybody.